So for step 24, the rear dampers 3, well, here's where we're going to add the springs, and of course the piece that's going to stop the spring from coming off the end. And we've got 3 choices, which are the damper spacers. So depending on the tension that you want, these can be adjusted. So I'm actually going to go with X7. I want the strongest tension possible. If it's too much, I can always switch it to an X6 or an X4, but we're going to go with an X7. The other thing is we've got to attach these little metal pieces right here, which are ball collars, as they call them. And then, of course, there's the springs. Now, one of the things to make note of, and you're probably not going to confuse this because they're essentially in a different part of the bag, but the 2 springs there are the same size, but the front spring is bigger. So you don't want to put one of the smaller ones on the rear and the bigger ones. Just note the springs are different, but it should be relatively easy not to confuse it because it's in a different part of the bag. But anyway, that is what we need for this step. So I'll set this up and let's put it together. So let's put the shocks together first. So as you can see, we need to slide this one onto the end, and then these collars, you can see that the bigger opening of the hole is going to fit over the bottom of the piece that is going to attach to the chassis. That's going to slide on and over, and voila, that part is on. But what we do want to do is we're going to put in the X7 piece. And again, I just want it because it'll be basically it'll create a bit more tension in the spring, and that's how it's going to look when it's finished. So the only other little piece that's left over is we have to put in these ball collars, and the only way you can really do that is to grab this and your pliers, and we're going to pop those in by doing this. If I can get that in correctly. There we go. So there is the collar in place, which will then attach to the chassis. So there is one ready to go. So we'll do the same thing with the other. And of course I can reverse how I'm putting this on. I'll put on the tensioner first, slide up the spring, pull that back, make sure the little piece is actually out of the way, and slide that on and over, and there we go. There is shock number 2, and then we've got to put this ball collar on. Now, I didn't say it before, but if you take a look at this, if I was to put that there and then grab the pliers and just think you can just do it this way, it won't work, because this metal is taller than that plastic part. So you're basically just putting pressure on the pliers and not actually doing anything. So if you want this to go in, you got to make sure that the tip of the plier is not blocking the hole when you put it in. And there we go. So there are our 2 rear oil-filled shocks, and they feel pretty good. The tension is pretty strong with this, with that X7 piece. So I might adjust it at a later date, but I'm okay with that for now. So step 24 is complete. So now we're going to move on to step 25, and we're going to attach the rear dampers to the chassis.